The Bell & Ross BR05 is a controversial watch. Lucky for me, I like horological controversy. In a world full of meaningful struggles and divisions, how people feel about the design of a watch is refreshingly meaningless. It's a topic I can disagree with someone on, and yet nobody feels like the other person is contributing to the decline of civilization. Except maybe in the case of some Invictas. So why would a watch be so controversial? Well, people are silly and bored. Why this watch in particular? Because for Bell & Ross, this watch represents something both new and old. Something the brand has never done, and yet something that's fairly well-trodden. The BR05 was announced in early 2019, and it was interesting to see the watch community's reaction to the first press photos and see how the sentiment slowly began to change and splinter as more people started going hands-on with the BR05. That initial reaction to this watch was mostly some version of, "Oh my god, Bell & Ross is copying the Royal Oak," or "What the fuck, is that a Nautilus?" For the first time, Bell & Ross was offering a steel integrated bracelet watch. Like the Patek Philippe Nautilus, the BR05 has a center-polished H-link style bracelet. Like the Royal Oak, the Bell & Ross BR05 has screws on its bezel. And like both from AP and Patek, the bracelet is integrated, the top of the bezel is linearly brushed, and its sides are polished. That's the controversy. This watch kinda looks like some other watches. Does the BR05 directly compete with those other watches? Nope. Is it outlandishly priced? No. Is it poor quality? Definitely not. See, people are silly. And so I'd like to assess the BR05 on its own merits and demerits. This version of the BR05 is fully steel. It has a diameter of 40 millimeters, a thickness of just under 11 millimeters, and a length of about 48 millimeters. It's also water resistant to 100 meters and has a screw-down crown. The price of the BR05 on a bracelet is $4,900 US. It's $500 cheaper if you opt for the rubber strap instead of the bracelet. And my guess is that you can get either configuration brand new at about a 20% discount. So I would say that practically speaking, this is a $4,000 watch. Much like square watches, this cushion-shaped case looks larger than a traditional round 40mm watch. Looks, not wears. It wears like its dimensions imply, but it looks larger because, well, it is. A shape like this has more volume than a shape like this. And I kinda like that. I think there are a lot of people with wrists smaller than my 7 inches who like the look of large watches but can't comfortably wear many. I think square and cushion cases provide some opportunity, and I think Bell & Ross has had some success because of it. Inside the BR05 is the caliber 321 movement, which is a Sellita SW300. The movement is on display through the case back, but it's mostly obscured by this interestingly designed rotor weight. The 321 has a power reserve somewhere between 38 and 42 hours and beats at 4 Hz. The movement is my biggest complaint about the watch. There are certainly other watches in this price range with pedestrian movements, and the Sellita SW300 is reliable and really serviceable. But I feel like these days, the watch market knows enough and has high enough expectations that Bell & Ross should have done a little better here. They are competing with brands that claim fully in-house movements for around the same price as this BR05. It doesn't mean those watches are better, but people think they might be, and that matters. I like the design of this watch. Yes, I do think it takes cues from some legendary pieces, and I think that's fine. The BR05 clearly takes some things that people love about the Royal Oak and the Nautilus and puts them through a Bell & Ross filter. Despite the fact that the Royal Oak and Nautilus are considered sport watches, They really are not. The BR05 is one of the least sporty watches in the Bell & Ross stable. In fact, I'd say that this watch is right on the border of dressy. And for a lot of people, I think that's very appealing. This is an impressively refined watch for under $5,000. There's a nice mix of textures and layers to this watch. The details are thoughtful and well executed. I don't think it rises to the level of something like a Grand Seiko, but I think the finishing certainly competes with other Swiss watches in the $3,000 to $5,000 range. It's got that mix of elegance and industry that watches of this genre are known for. The crown side profile is a good example. There are the visible screws on the crown guards, the modern Bell & Ross logo, and the satin finished vertical surfaces along with the parallel polished bevels. The time-only BR05 comes with a black, a silver, or a blue dial, and this blue is certainly my favorite. This is a very nice sunray blue dial, and I think it's well complemented by the large applied markers and numerals. It's a small thing, but I also really like the numeral font. The font's terminals are round, which is somewhat uncommon in watches, and in a way it matches the rounded corners of the bezel. The markers and numerals are filled with superluminova. I like the Bell & Ross B05. After having spent a few days with it, I get it. I see the appeal, and I also totally see why someone might find it unappealing. I think that's fine. I think it's fine for people to like or dislike a watch on its own merits. But if you're salty because this watch borrows elements from other watches, or it costs more money than you think it should, might I suggest another hobby? I hear that knitting is quite soothing. No watch is for everyone, and nearly every watch has its highlights. In my opinion, the BR05 has more highlights than lowlights, and it's really impressed me. I think Bell & Ross has done a good job with this new line, and anecdotally, the market seems to be responding accordingly, and I'm not surprised. Nor will I be surprised by the spicy conversations in this video's comments. Good luck, everyone.